Good morning, everybody, from a sunny but chilly Rogue Valley. So, obviously made it off the hill, or excuse me, made it from the coast to my house here in Phoenix. Gonna take this up in a couple hours, unload it up on the Firewood hill. Gotta return the U-Haul and all that other junk from the moving this weekend, but thought I'd get this tractor series started by just kind of doing another walk around. Those are the front wheel weights I was talking about. They will just bolt right over the wheel here. I need to get some big heavy duty bolts, some 1/2-inch bolts about 2 inches long. Each one of those, I haven't put it on the scale, but I think they're about 60 pounds a piece. If not, then they're 50. But whatever the case is, it'll add a lot of weight because this thing sits fairly high off the ground, and as you're going downhill, especially across the slope, you want the center of gravity to be as low as possible, and obviously you want to avoid driving across the slope if at all possible, especially since there's no roll cage. So, getting it loaded up this weekend, I discovered that the old 73-year-old radiator is shot. Might not, yeah, the sun's too damn bright, but the mounting stud is right down here, and the bottom of the tank is just leaking like a sieve. That's coolant. I attempted to slow it down using some of that aluminum stop leak stuff. This doesn't have a true water pump. This just uses the concept of heat rises to circulate water through the block, and so I wasn't concerned about plugging anything up. I ordered a new one last night, and then I will go to the local radiator shop and have this one repaired and record if at all possible, so that I can have a backup on hand. This generator looks like crap, but it was remanufactured less than a decade ago. But the voltage regulator took a dive, so I've got one of those, and I need to get into a wiring diagram so that I can get this all hooked back up so that it'll actually charge. And looks like that belt might have seen better days. Carburetor's got corrosion from sitting on the coast, but that actually is a new Zenith carburetor, and by new I mean within 10 years old. So, exhaust system, my dad had this very style custom built for using in his almond orchard, and then I took the old one off as it rotted apart, took it to the local muffler shop and had them build this up, so it works quite well. You can see the oil burning leaves the exhaust stain back here, but at least you're blowing the exhaust down and not back into your face. 6-volt battery is about 10 years old, which means it's garbage. What did I punch on there? Oh wow. 2000, it's not as old as I thought. That's punched out as 2015, but it will not take a charge. So I'm going to order a reproduction battery box that'll actually have a cover on it, and then get another battery in here. A few oil leaks that eventually you're going to have to get dealt with. The front seal leaks. In fact, I can see a little wet in there from just running it over the weekend. And of course it's greasy down the steering and down to the wheels. Is what it is. If I can get that pulley off, I will get that seal replaced. There's that newly rebuilt mag that went on that finally got her back into shape. The starter switch, which is basically just a giant plunger contact, isn't working for sour owl manure. You got to twist all sorts of a weird ass angle to get enough push on it, so I don't know. Those are very common, but I suspect they're an aftermarket design that just isn't quite right, so whatever. For the time being, I'm starting it with that old crank, and I'll actually show you guys that when we get up to the hill. The other, let's see, one of these big outer lugs loosened up years ago, and before my dad caught it, it was bunged up enough that you couldn't tighten it down anymore. Now I'm looking at these rust marks here, and it might be one of those. But needless to say, I'm gonna have to get in there and figure out which one it is. That's that one right there. I think that's pretty obvious. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to tighten that. But I'll try. Worst case, snap that stud, put a new one in. It's actually not a stud, it's just a bolt. But this auxiliary PTO shaft, we can tell that the seal is trash. So, lots of nice oil dripping down there. Now, I'll get that pulley off. That pulley is driving my dad's homemade hydraulic lift system that he built. And that was basically just to be able to move the disc in that almond orchard. He needed to be able to lift it. And this, of course, never had any kind of a three-point hitch. So, in that old orchard that was basically beach sand, the consistency, so he could get away with a setup like this, kind of lift the disc somewhat, you know, out of the dirt and then skid it around, basically. Of course, that disc is long gone. No need for it in this part of Oregon, not for what I'm doing. And then God knows that hydraulic valve is probably a World War II surplus that my granddad had glommed onto. So, anyway, I know this is getting to be a little bit long, and I'm going to splice some other stuff into it, so I think I'll shut it down, go return that U-Haul truck, and we'll go up to the Firewood Hill and park this thing where it's going to live for a while. I don't think they know what to think of a Farmall tractor.